Oh, welcome to the Big O Money Show with Bill Altman here, Premier Advisory Group, right here in the Big O. Tony Shore, co-host. Tony, thanks for being here. And Rosie is our special guest today.
Oh, Rosie! Woo!
Tony,
Cheers for Rosie.
I think we were telling our listeners a little story about how Rosie came about. And one day, near the old Christmas time holiday, I was the kids were home from college, and they took me out to eat at Goldberg's. They got me a cheesesteak and a cheesesteak and a shake, a vanilla shake after.
Delicious.
And then on the way home, they said, it'd be a good idea to just go take a look at puppies.
Oh.
So, Dad, don't worry. We're not going to get one. Lo and behold, little Rosie came back.
Surprise.
And Rosie and I have become very fond of each other.
I see that.
Yes. So, and she sometimes comes to the office. She's in the studio today. When Mama is out running errands or showing houses or doing different things, I'll kind of grab Rose here. So that's the deal. Tony, lot to talk about today. A lot going on. So first, I think it's always really, really important to remember how fast life really goes. Yeah. And I joke around here at the office about, it's February, but it's almost Christmas.
Right.
And it's just, that's how quick things go. And we do plan. I mean, our entire travel schedule, our entire year is planned. And I mean, we even have plans into 2027 on the schedule. Things are busy, right? And so I have to make sure that I can accommodate for that in my schedule, but also we have to make sure that we remember we want to enjoy ourselves. We want to enjoy our family, right? So it's not just buttoning everything up, which is really important. We talk a lot about that on the show and making sure you have your wills and your powers of attorney, or if you need a trust, you're consulting your legal, you're doing what you need to do on taxes. And because time flies, the quicker we're on them, if we don't wait till the last minute, there's not really a concern, or the concern's lessened. You're sleeping much better at night.
Right.
Two folks that were great people passed recently. One 57 years old, Patrick Sullivan. I knew him very well. I lived couple doors down from him for about 10 years or so. And Tony Postello, long-term client, passed away and still not even 70 years old. I think 67, maybe, right in thereabouts. And this was just within the last couple of weeks. And Danielle's 57 or 56-year-old aunt in California, breast cancer, stage 4 hospice. And so the list goes on and on. And so some might be on the younger side like that, or even much younger, and we just don't really know. Or some like, say, Lois Curtis, Pat and Judy Lindsay, great clients. Lois was as well, passed here recently. But she was much older. So the key is here, the point is, we just don't simply know when our time is going to come. And so why do we procrastinate? Why do we put off until tomorrow what truly should be done today? And again, I've told you many times, Tony, you know this, I think our listeners know that, but for any of our new listeners, I practice what I preach. I'm doing what I'm doing to myself, what I'm asking you to do unto yourselves, meaning the planning part. Again, my 19-year-old children have wills and powers of attorney already. And it's not because they're some high net worth children or trust funders or anything like that. They're just normal kids and normal broke college kids, right? But it's, again, one less thing that you would have to worry about if God forbid, anything were to happen, whether it's sickness or death. Myself, my wife, our companies, everything that we have is titled in trust, really.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, people put this stuff off, Bill, because none of us want to think about our own passing. And I think this is one of the main things people push off and don't deal with. But if you deal with it, you do sleep better at night. Getting that out of the way, knowing things are taken care of, isn't it a load off for you? I mean, it's like a weight removed because your family's taken care of if something should happen to you.
That's exactly right. It's a huge weight lifted off. I mean, I would stress out. I would get in the car and drive to Colorado or wherever if I was going on a trip with the guys or do something. And I'm kind of freaking out the whole way. Like, do I have everything buttoned up? I know everything wasn't fully buttoned up, and, or my life insurance premium paid, all these little things that pop through your head. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be a burden on anybody else. And so that's really who you want to think about. Think about your loved ones. Think about the people your estate will be passed down to upon death. Think about the people that are going to be taken care of you if you become incapacitated. Let's make their life easier. So maybe we're not doing it for you, right? Maybe we're doing it because, you're going to be, they're 6 foot under or way up or whatever people, wherever they go, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You'll be passing through those pearly gates and being like, oh, well, I'm good.
Let's hope so.
And here these people here on earth still that are taking care of your estate are like, you got to be kidding me. I can't believe they didn't set anything up.
Right.
Yeah. And same thing when you're sick too. And if you're incapacitated and you don't have that simple power of attorney, and I mean, Tony Shore, if something happens to Bill Altman, Tony Shore can talk to my doctors with that healthcare power of attorney.
Yeah.
And talk to my financial institutions and
pay
my taxes and do things with the durable power of attorney. And it's just very simple. Transparency is wonderful too. Yeah. The people that take care. We've had Connell on the show before, and he's our successor trustee should something happen to Danielle and I. He's the one that's going to come in and clean everything up. But our estate is very, very well organized. I will tell you that. Okay. But it's still not going to be an easy job. I'm very transparent with Connell of what we have, where we have it, and who to call and what to do.
Yeah.
Right. And other people that he would have to come in contact after know about him too.
Sure.
Our kids understand what's going on with our lives, businesses, estate, the whole 9 yards. I don't know why you have to keep secrets.
Yeah, no, the communication is the key with these things too. I mean, I saw it happen with my grandfather when he passed. If there had been better communication, people think, well, I've got a will. I put it in there, but you never discussed any of it with your 4 children before it happened. That created some family disharmony. Not everyone was on the same page.
Right.
If you have 4 kids and you put just one in charge to be the, trustee of, and so that can cause issues unless you've communicated really clearly beforehand. And that generation, they didn't talk about money with anyone.
No, that's
any of that.
Right. But hey, we still see that. See husband and wives don't talk about their stuff with each other.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Maybe you need to, I don't know. I shouldn't go there. Okay, fine.
Right. Well, yeah. And I'll tell you what, relationships work much better if you're very open about the money and you sit down, regularly and talk about where you're at. And you got to both be on the same page. That's why I know when you have people come in, if it's a couple, they both need to come in together to communicate. And even some of them bring their kids in to say, hey, here's where things are at. Right.
In fact, sometimes if there's a new client or prospect coming in, not always, it's just depending on the situation.
Sure.
But, we will always ask them to bring their spouse. Otherwise we'd call it like a one-legger. And that just means there's only, there's 2 people that need to be keyed in on this decision here.
Right.
Only one person shows up, and then we're kind of wondering, and we just know there's going to be some future drama of some sort, right? And so it's not like both have to be the pilot. Like you don't have 2 people sitting in the left seat, right, on a plane.
No.
You don't have 2 people in the driver's seat of a car.
No.
There's always someone sitting shotgun, or they're sitting, co-pilot, helping out, help navigate whatever the situation is. They just want to be in the know, right? And so whether it's whichever party is that, it doesn't really matter. But that typically always happens. And I don't know. So I don't know if it's like I'm going to give up control or the secretive or I just don't understand what it is. Or sometimes maybe embarrassment or people not knowing where they are. A lot of where's the average? Am I average? Like what height?
Yeah.
You know?
People are conscientious about money, and they think, I know that they don't like to talk about it because they're worried, is it as much, or is it too much or too little, or I don't want,
Right.
it's usually one way or the other. I don't want people to know how much I have, or I don't want people to know how little I have. I think I've done a bad job saving, or I've got this debt. I'm embarrassed about debt. I got news for you. Every American has probably some kind of debt.
Most.
And there are people out there with a nickel to their name, and there are people out there with a billion to their name, and one's not better than the other necessarily. It's everybody's just where they're at, and I know you've seen it all. So don't hesitate to work with a professional and to get your family on board with, hey, this is what's happening, and this is where we need to go, and everybody, you'll all sleep better at night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just, it brings about family harmony. And I think you made a perfect point. You have 4 children. You got one of them who's the power of attorney for finance, and one of them, you're not going to name all 4 of them as power of attorneys.
No.
Typically. Okay.
No.
And naming 2 people to work together as power of attorneys, if one's out of state and the other's here, it just gets a little cumbersome. I'm just telling you right now.
You got to appoint one person to be the executor.
Right.
But if you have 4 kids and you just make one, and you've only ever communicated to that one your wishes,
right,
and that's the only one that's met with you and the attorney, I think it's smart to bring the other 3 into the meeting. One's still the executor.
Right.
It's just like you said, you can't have 2 people sitting in the driver's seat, and you certainly can't have 4 people sitting in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and it's still illegal to steal the person's money, by the way. It's just because you're the power of attorney or the executor doesn't mean you have full rights to do whatever the heck you want. You have to follow their wishes, and or you could go to jail. That's very important to understand that. And that's what you kind of want to get to the kids too. You sit down with the advisor and you say, this isn't a you're better than he is. It's just that maybe they have more time, or they're already in finance. They're an accountant. They're a whatever. This person's a doctor or nurse, and so she's going to be able to talk to the medical staff with better knowledge, more fluently. Right? She's going to be able to understand it a little bit better. She's not going to pull the plug. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, she's good. Go ahead and pull the plug on mom. We're done with her. That doesn't happen. The doctor's going to be like, no, your mom's fine. She's had a knee surgery.
Right. But if you're the executor, and you have siblings, and you're the executor for one of your parents or your parents, I think it would have been smart for my dad's brother, who was the executor, to sit down with the other 3 and say, okay, here's what dad is giving to me. Here's what I expect. Here's what he's left to you. Is there anything that you feel he told you he would give you, or what have you? He doesn't even actually have to be there if the executor knows. But if they had that conversation, there'd be family harmony. And today there's not, because of all the things, of all the farmland and the tractors and all that stuff. His pickup truck wasn't clearly stated. And both the executor assumed it would be his, and my dad assumed it would be his, and now they're not talking. Now they're not talking, and that's
over a pickup truck.
Over a pickup truck. That's ridiculous.
Come on, unbelievable.
They could buy, they could sell the farmland and buy 10 pickup trucks.
Buy a dealership of them.
Yeah, it's like,
come on.
It makes zero sense, but this is what happened. And my mom had 2 sisters, and the sisters all fought over my grandfather's Mason's ring. He was a Mason, right?
Right.
My grandfather was a Freemason, belonged to the Masons his whole life, helped a lot of people out, really dedicated a lot of time and money to helping people through the Masons, which is great. And he had this really cool ring, a Mason's ring with that little Masons logo. We've all seen it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. They sold the farm, split it 3 ways. They all got that. Everybody was happy with that. No problems. His ring. It's like,
we're never going to have Thanksgiving together again.
They actually worked it out, and it's fine. I mean, the oldest sister, who wears the pants in the family, just said, I'm keeping it. And so they eventually dealt with it.
Right.
But it was a little point of contention, and I did hear the other 2 bicker about it.
It's not always the case though, Tony.
No.
That's the whole deal, is sometimes it does ruin families forever.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
does.
very unfortunate. It's like, it's just a possession. It's a ring. It's a truck. It's a, it's a whatever, an account. It's a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's why that communication up front is so important too.
It is.
And
It is.
like, I listened to Dave Ramsey say something recently, and he said, if you're going to disinherit them, my God, disinherit them now.
Yeah.
And tell them,
Yeah.
be a big boy. Go in and say,
Yeah.
you know what?
Put on your big boy pants and
Yep.
communicate your desires.
Right.
I know that, like, I know my grandfather was a sweetheart, Bob. I mean, he was an amazing person, right?
Grandpa Bob. Yep.
He was driving until he was 100. He was camping 3 months before he died at 101. He did woodwork. He was an amazing person. Everyone loved my grandpa, but pretty tender-hearted, kind-hearted, but quiet, reserved, 100% English, so not, didn't wear the emotions on the sleeve per se. And he just, we don't want to upset people. We put off anything that we think, I don't want to, if I tell them my intentions, I don't want to make this one mad or this one mad. That's actually going to make things work. Communication up front is going to be the way to go, so you can work it all out. And it's better to do it while you're alive and get it all worked out.
Yeah, do it while you can. Do it now.
Yeah.
And that's the whole deal. So, my goal for everybody listening is for you to look at your own situation, write down, get a pen out, get a notebook out, sit down and write down. Do you have a will? Yes or no? Do you have a power of attorney? Yes or no? Do you have a trust? Yes or no? If you have a trust, is your house titled in the name of trust? Oh, how about that? Weird thing, huh? Interesting. Huh. Why do lawyers create trusts and then not title anything? And then the attorney says, well, they said they were going to do it on their own. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. 0% of the time. Get real. Yeah, no, it's
most trusts are never funded. Most trusts are never funded.
And then, so what happens then, Tony? And then where's it go?
Probate court.
Probate. And the definition of probate is the process of proving your will. And guess what? If you didn't have a will, guess who creates one for you? The state.
The state. Even if you have a will, that's directions for the court. But like my grandfather's will, you can think you've been thorough, but it's not going to cover every little thing. You're always going to miss something. And probate can take a long time and it can be expensive. But you hopefully, if you spend $2,000 now, you can save $15,000 in attorney and court fees later, or whatever it costs to do a trust.
Right.
Or plus, yeah. And years of your family waiting years to get anything. So they can get it immediately if you have a trust. But the problem is these attorneys who do trusts, they create a trust, but it's not funded. In other words, nothing's put into the trust, and you have to change beneficiary designations to the trust. Did you do that? Do you have beneficiary designations on your bank accounts? Most people don't. And it's just one simple form you sign. You go into your bank and sign
Payable on death. Payable on death.
Yeah.
Brokerage account transfer on death. Same thing as a beneficiary. Financial world loves to use multiple terms, right? In Nebraska, you can put a beneficiary in your house. You know that?
Yeah.
My house goes, upon Danielle's and I's death, it goes to the 4 kids. Boom. They can go and fight over it. I don't care. Yeah. But at least they don't have to go pay attorneys.
Right.
Probate it. And then 9 months later, it might be out of probate. Ooh. Yeah. No. Designate now. Work with us. Give us a call, 402-557-6730. If you want to see Rosie, right? Rosie, come in, see Rosie, see myself. 402-557-6730. We will get you on the right track. How about small businesses and tax? We have a lot of small businesses out there, right? Just tons.
Yeah, we have a lot of business owners who listen to the show, who work with you on a regular basis. And I know you're good friends with a lot of business owners in the area.
That's right. And we see the most disorganized tax situation on the majority of small business owners with their situation. Because you know why? Because they're busy and it's not their strong suit. And they're trying.
They have ideas and they have a business idea and they are passionate and driven about their idea, but that doesn't mean they know the first thing about business taxes.
No, that's right.
It gets complex.
And bookkeeping, understanding QuickBooks, do your own entry. Very easy. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. Do you know how awesome it is when I can log in and in QuickBooks and a minute have you a profit and loss and a balance sheet?
That's awesome.
How good that feels. Everything is so incredibly organized. Julie Moeller here with Moeller and Associates right here in our office. We own this CPA firm. Tatum's with us as well. She's a tax associate.
Yep.
Rocking and rolling. We get people organized, right? There's not magic necessarily. Now there's great creative ways and laws that we can use to help your tax situation. But just like the stock market, there's not magic, right? It's not like, oh, Tony, come work with me. It's going to go up forever and only go up.
Right.
Huge, and you can't go to Julie and say, Julie, I make $1 million a year, but I don't want to pay any taxes. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? You're going to go to jail. That's what's going to happen. Right? And so
you can minimize that tax burden if you work with a team like yourself, where you have financial advisors who are looking at the big picture. You have tax professionals.
And then you're not doing a big bill at the end of the year or in March 15th.
Right.
When they're due for corporate, or April 15th, or you're extending out, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much stress. And every year it's so much stress, and you're extending all the way till September or October for personal. And it's like, oh my gosh, and then all of a sudden tax year starts again. And believe it or not, and all of a sudden you pass Christmas, you pass New Year's, you start getting those 1099s and W-2s and everything else in the mail, and you're back at it again. And your tax year just never, ever stopped, where you could get on top of it now, and it's just going. It's going, and you always know what's going on. You know how much you're going to owe. You know how much you've paid in. You can manage it. Why do we send state tax income payments from our companies into the IRS during the year? Because it's a deduction. That's why. I didn't know that, but Julie did. Julie's like, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send it in from the company. This is something that's obviously perfectly legal. And if anybody knows Julie, she is by the book, and sometimes we have to say, Julie, sharpen the pencils. And she, gives me a big eye roll. She's going to do it right, but she's also going to try to save you the most amount of money. You want to pay the least amount of taxes in the most legal way, obviously, right? And we know that no one wants to pay more than their fair share. But I think more than anything, because any successful business owner knows that they're going to have to pay taxes. That's just all there is to it. I don't think any if ands or buts about that. If it's a legal business and you're successful, you're going to have to pay taxes. Now, are there things that you can do when you're buying or renovating a building that allows you to have a cost segregation study done, right? And you can have bonus depreciation and accelerated depreciation and all these different rules that you have to work with professionals to know that, right? So we can lessen the burden, but the key is getting you organized, getting it done, not procrastinating, right, Rosie? Talking about procrastinating. Listen to this, Tony Shore. Omaha Steaks announced, and it was like last minute. And what I've been reading is they announced via text. Now I don't know if it's all 100%. It might be the old social media talking. I don't know, but fake news. I don't know. Anyway, they announced that they're going to stop selling to restaurants.
That's weird to me. I knew that Omaha Steak, obviously, I've ordered Omaha Steaks before and had them.
Sure.
Right. I think most people I know have at least tried them. Yep. And I also did know that they provided for restaurants, at least in the area, in the Omaha region and in Nebraska for sure.
Sure.
I didn't know how much beyond that they did for restaurants. Maybe a lot, maybe across the country. I don't know. Right. But I know that at restaurants, I've had Omaha Steaks. They're good. In fact, some restaurants, we serve Omaha Steaks, which is awesome. I've seen it written on their ads or in their ads. So, or on the menu. And so that's interesting. I wonder why they would do that.
I don't necessarily know exactly. You can read, but what's really the underlining? Maybe it wasn't quite as big of a profit center as they thought, but they said they want to focus on their retail, their consumer, direct to consumer type of sales. And so we'll see how that works, and a lot of online ordering. So, and maybe that was the profit center in the restaurants. Maybe the margins just simply weren't there. The cost of beef, and the restaurants were, kind of balking at that because price of beef is up. That's not a surprise, right? They said average for a pound of ground beef right now, I think they said $5.99. I saw on the news last night. So anyway, so that's kind of the story. Tony, we're about out of time here.
We are.
Thank everybody very much for listening. As always, we will see you next Sunday, of course, and maybe even Rosie. Who knows?
I love Rosie. Watch the YouTube video of this show because Rosie, our mascot's on the whole show. I can't believe how calm she loves you, Bill. Obviously.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I think she's quite taken with me as well.
No, Tony, I think that's really it.
She's so
You're
cute.
your beauty. Give us a call, 402-557-6730 right here in Omaha for your complimentary consultation. 402-557-6730. And you can always go to bigomoney.com.
All right. Thanks, Bill and Rosie. That does it for today's episode of the Big O Money Show with our host, Bill Altman.